Hello, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. I hope you enjoy the audiobook. Today, we'll delve into Sapiens, authored by the Israeli historian Yuval Harari. In this book, Harari asserts that the driving force behind humanity's remarkable civilizations from ancient times to the present lies in the cognitive revolution propelled by imagination. Let me introduce briefly the theme and the author of Sapiens. As the name suggests, it centers on the history of the human species. It's a distinctive take on history, unlike previous narratives focusing either on biological or human history. One aspect emphasizes who humans are, like the famous naked ape, defining humans as hairless apes with behaviors explainable through biology. The other, exemplified by the renowned global history, details the splendid civilizations humanity created across Greece, Rome, India, China, Western Europe, and Islam. However, Sapiens approaches civilization history by focusing on humanity as a species, showcasing what humans did rooted in who they are. It might sound materialistic initially, attributing the creation of these civilizations to humanity's inherent characteristics. Unlike labeling humans as mere naked apes, this book highlights humanity's exceptional trait, the evolution of an entire mechanism within the biological framework to facilitate a formidable force, imagination. Now, moving to the author. Yuval Harari, an Israeli historian born in 1976, is a prominent figure in his field. A holder of a history PhD from Oxford University, he currently serves as a history professor at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Termed a young maverick in academia, his reputation predominantly stems from Sapiens and Homo Deus, accompanied by a series of profound yet controversial viewpoints. Harari, in Sapiens, posits that despite lacking significant individual advantages compared to other higher animals like chimpanzees, human achievements are primarily due to collective cooperation facilitated by our imagination, our ability to dwell in both objective and virtual realities simultaneously. His focus on the present and the pressing choices facing humanity, such as the potential evolution into gods or the pursuit of immortality, sets him apart. Harari advocates leveraging historical knowledge and wisdom to address these pivotal questions. The book itself is divided into 4 parts spanning 20 chapters: Cognitive Revolution, Agricultural Revolution, Unification of Humankind, and Scientific Revolution. Harari's central theme revolves around revolutions, encompassing fundamental changes in cognition, technological production, and societal organization throughout human history. His core premise remains: the driving force behind human history and its constant evolution is revolution. Understanding this premise is key to grasping the essence and significance of Sapiens. Harari fundamentally conveys that humanity's continuous self-reinvention and the propulsion of history stem from one inherent aspect: human imagination. Despite being a species that, scientifically speaking, holds no extraordinary position, humans have triumphed over other ancient species due to our unique ability to imagine and collaborate collectively. This sets the stage for the profound insights Harari offers into human history and the inherent power of imagination driving its course. You should know that our ancestors were not superior in terms of size, agility, or strength compared to other species. Harari suggests the fundamental answer lies in their possession of a more developed ability: language. He presents an intriguing theory called the gossip theory. What does it mean? Biologists believe that Homo sapiens produce a wide range of vocal sounds, enabling the creation of complex sentences and meanings. However, this ability is not entirely exclusive to humans. For instance, monkeys have various calls, including a distinctive one to alert others about a lion near a riverbank, conveying information. So, what distinguishes Homo sapiens? The remarkable difference lies in their brain's capacity to express concepts about themselves, the ability to gossip. This ability is significant. If individuals within a tribe gossip about fellow members for several hours daily, they gain a clear understanding of who is trustworthy. This fosters tighter cooperation, leading to rapid tribal expansion. While the gossip theory might sound peculiar, it's backed by extensive research and experiments. Harari asserts it as pivotal in understanding the progress of human civilization. Think about it: informing about a lion by a riverbank describes a tangible object. But describing who's good, who's bad, who's trustworthy, or who lacks morals within a tribe depicts virtual objects, concepts like goodness, trust, and morality. The capacity to discuss these virtual objects enables specialization and cooperation, paving the way for complex societies. To elucidate this, Harari references an influential sociological study, the Dunbar's number, also known as the 150 rule. According to this, a group sustained solely by interpersonal gossip can only maintain coherence with up to 150 individuals. Within this limit, no formal rules are necessary, relationships alone suffice, be it within a small company or village. However, to surpass this 150 individual threshold, an organization requires a shared belief in a fictional story, such as Christianity's belief in Jesus' crucifixion. This shared belief creates common ground even among strangers, facilitating cohesion within a company, society, or nation. The foundation of this ability? It's the capability I just introduced, describing virtual objects. This marks Harari's first crucial revolution, the cognitive revolution. It denotes the advanced linguistic abilities of Homo sapiens beyond merely describing a lion by a riverbank, allowing them to gossip about themselves. Through this gossiping ability, Homo sapiens nurtured the skill to describe virtual objects, enabling our ancestors to collectively believe in something. This facilitated them to surpass the 150 individual limit, forming intricate societies and fostering advanced civilizations. Harari contends that this progression even constitutes a monumental biological leap. Unlike past species evolution relying on genetic mutations, such as apes evolving into humans over millions of years without substantial changes in their lifestyle, Homo sapiens' appearance merely 70,000 years ago brought about tremendous lifestyle changes within a significantly shorter span. Ultimately, this species' advancement relied not on genetic mutations but on specialization and cooperation. You might be surprised by this conclusion, considering the fame of Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection, the survival of the fittest. The discovery of genes was also among the greatest breakthroughs in 20th century science. Now, you're telling me that biological evolution doesn't rely on genes but on specialization and cooperation. Is there evidence for this? Harari asserts there is, and this evidence lies in what he calls the second revolution, namely, the agricultural revolution. Let me explain further. Before humans entered the agricultural era, they lived in what's called the hunter-gatherer period. Imagine this: men hunted while women gathered fruits. There were no tools like knives or fire, and productivity was extremely primitive. You might assume life was miserable during this era, with frequent hunger and lacking the intelligence of later agricultural societies. But Harari tells us your thoughts are mistaken. Archaeologists have proven that ordinary people during the hunter-gatherer period had much better nutrition compared to those who just entered the agricultural society later. Even their brain capacity was larger. In evolutionary terms, humans regressed from the hunter-gatherer era to the early agricultural society. Why did this happen? Let's delve into it. The people of the hunter-gatherer era had better physical health and larger brains because of their diverse diet, mushrooms in the morning, fruits at noon, and perhaps catching a rabbit in the evening. Conversely, the diet of ancient agriculturalists was more monotonous, like the peasants in ancient China who mainly consumed dry rations for all meals, susceptible to nutritional deficiencies due to crop failures or pest infestations. Scientists have confirmed that the brain capacity of hunter-gatherers was larger because they faced a complex natural environment. They needed to be familiar with plants and animals, discerning what was edible, sensitive to their surroundings. If there was a rustling sound in the grass, it might be a snake, and stepping on it meant death. They had to excel in physical activities, climbing trees for bird nests or catching fish in rivers. All of this required their brains to process highly complex information. Conversely, many individuals in the agricultural society spent their entire lives in a small area, tilling a small field, leading simple, monotonous lives, with limited mobility, hardly interacting even if separated by tens of miles. Consequently, the information their brains processed diminished. Given that humanity regressed from the hunter-gatherer era to the agricultural society in terms of individual progression, why did humans evolve in this direction? The answer lies in the fact that the agricultural society significantly increased the possibility of human reproduction. In the hunter-gatherer era, people moved around a lot, following where the prey was. However, during migration, children became a significant burden. But once humans settled into agricultural life, they could have children every year, causing a rapid increase in population. Despite high infant mortality rates, malnutrition, and reduced brain capacities, the overall population increased. This involves a fundamental value issue. From a biological perspective, the assessment criterion for evolution isn't about individual strength or speed but about the genetic propagation of the species. Harari illustrates this by comparing it to evaluating a company's success by its earnings rather than the happiness of its employees. The agricultural society saw a decline in each individual's physical qualities but significantly enhanced the efficiency of genetic propagation within the population. That's the true essence of evolution. Therefore, Harari argues that while the agricultural revolution seems like progress, for individual humans, it was a colossal trap. It appears as if humanity successfully domesticated certain crops and livestock. Conversely, one could argue that these crops and livestock domesticated humanity. They compelled humans to serve their growth every day, plowing fields, watering, fertilizing, tending livestock. Moreover, the development of agriculture led to the creation of societies, nations, classes, and religions, subsequently resulting in class oppression and religious conflicts. While humanity, as a whole, progressed rapidly through specialization and cooperation, the suffering of each individual increased. Look at ancient civilizations, Egypt with its pyramids, Rome with its colosseums, and China with its Great Wall. These grand wonders were accomplished through the enslavement and oppression of ordinary people by pharaohs and emperors, right? In essence, the agricultural revolution traded the miserable conditions of the majority for a small portion of the population to become supreme ruling classes, thus enslaving the majority to create civilization. This ties into what Harari refers to as the second leap of human imagination brought about by the agricultural revolution. We've already discussed the first leap, the cognitive revolution, where humans developed the ability to imagine virtual objects, surpassing the 150 individual threshold of tribal groups. So, what's the second leap? It's the ability of humans to construct a virtual political order through imagination. For instance, why did foreigners in ancient times obey the orders of pharaohs to build pyramids? It wasn't merely because they feared the pharaoh's authority but because they genuinely believed the pharaoh was the voice of God on earth, and building the pyramids was part of obeying the divine order. Harari states that the social order we live in ultimately originates from imagination. This theory has three significant manifestations. Firstly, the order constructed by imagination is closely intertwined with the real world, making it challenging to discern. For example, a child living in a medieval castle wouldn't have a personal room, their every move would be under scrutiny, leading to a keen awareness of social status and honor. In modern society, children have their own rooms, nurturing individualistic beliefs, feeling less concerned about others' opinions, valuing self-expression. These values are closely tied to how individuals arrange their living environment. It's hard to say who influences whom. Secondly, the order constructed by imagination shapes human desires. Many people today desire international travel or big mansions. You might think these actions express personal freedom, but they're actually instilled by consumerism. Movies, TV, advertisements, social media, and peer circles constantly tell you what you should gift your girlfriend. What would you have gifted in ancient times? Of course, a grand pyramid, ensuring joy and happiness. Whether it's gifting international travel or a tomb, both are essentially humorous actions, products instilled by imagination. Thirdly, the order constructed by imagination connects people with each other. Why does a piece of paper called $1 have value? Ultimately, it's due to imagination. But it's this imagined value that allows us to establish international economies, international trade rules, enabling the flow of capital, goods, and labor worldwide. Without this, humanity might have regressed to a primitive state instantly. In conclusion, Harari emphasizes that as humans, we cannot detach ourselves from the order constructed by imagination. Each time we believe we've broken the high walls of prison, moving towards freedom, we've merely stepped into a different, larger prison, slightly expanding our scope of movement. Throughout history, humans have excelled in imagining distinctions between higher and lower classes, for instance, the belief that Caucasians are superior to Africans or men are superior to women. In reality, these arguments are irrelevant to justice, they're merely derivatives of imagination. You might wonder, given that orders are imagined, theoretically, shouldn't different people imagine vastly different orders? For instance, Westerners imagine God creating everything, while Chinese people imagine Pangu separating heaven and earth. Indeed, ancient societies were like that. But today, in this era of globalization, how do we explain it? Is it because all of humanity coincidentally imagined it together? This leads us to the third part of human surveillance, which is the unity of human integration. Harari believes that starting 1,000 years before the Common Era, 3 orders emerged that might genuinely bring all of humanity to imagine and believe in the possibility of a global community governed by a unified set of rules. These 3 orders are the order of money, the order of empires, and the order of faith. Let's start with the order of money. Why does money hold such immense power? Harari says it's because the monetary system has 2 major characteristics, universal exchangeability and universal belief. Moreover, the former fundamentally relies on the latter. You might recall the viewpoint of political economics discussed in high school textbooks, suggesting that money is essentially a generalized representation of domestic affairs. However, Harari would tell you that this understanding isn't quite essential enough. The essence of money lies in it being the most widespread and effective system of mutual trust in history. Its difference from religion is that everyone believes in it. You believe it can exchange material wealth, and I believe it too. Even if we don't know each other or understand each other's character, based solely on this trust, meaning you pay money, we can collaborate. The second order is the order of empires, essentially a violent order. This is quite understandable. The logic of money is understood by all, just as the logic of swords is understood by all. But empires don't rely solely on violent rule, they also disseminate uniform laws, scripts, languages, currencies, and even a common culture. Moreover, the elites in most empires also believe that they work for the overall welfare of all subjects of the empire. Harari particularly mentions China, where ancient imperial China believed it should spread its culture to all directions to enlighten people. The so-called mandate of heaven wasn't about exploiting the entire world but about educating the masses. With such beliefs, no matter how fragmented China became historically, it always returned to unity. By the 21st century, Harari believes a new global imperial concept is emerging, potentially breaking the boundaries of past nation-states, bringing all global citizens under its umbrella to solve common issues such as environmental protection and development. The third order is the order of religion or faith. In fact, beliefs like these have existed since ancient times. As we mentioned earlier, our Homo sapiens ancestors had the ability to imagine virtual things, naturally using this ability to imagine things that didn't exist in the real world, like ghosts, gods, or deities. Hence, we have various types of religions such as polytheism, monotheism, nature worship, or ancestor worship. But what Harari wants to point out is that many modern societal ideas and values are essentially beliefs too. For instance, the humanistic thought in early modern Europe essentially worshipped human nature, deifying human nature. Harari says modern society is against torture, advocating so-called humanitarian care for criminals. It's impossible to argue if this is good or bad, but we believe it's necessary to uphold human dignity, so we do it. The same goes for social humanism. They believe equality is the most important value, so they oppose the privileges of the wealthy because it represents a greater value placed on money than on human nature. Similarly, the values and praises of modern society for human rights, freedom, and more are essentially part of the order of faith. At this point, you might have a question again. According to Harari's explanation, does this mean all of human civilization's achievements are imagined? Are these tall buildings, smart computers, and satellite rockets completely devoid of any real foundation? Harari's answer is, not entirely. This brings us to the last section, the scientific revolution. The so-called science is essentially a knowledge system. However, why does this knowledge system create immense productivity and destructive power, triggering atomic bombs and sending humanity to the moon? Harari says this is because the scientific knowledge system differs from all preceding knowledge systems in 3 major ways. Firstly, it's willing to admit its ignorance. Harari famously said the scientific revolution wasn't a revolution of knowledge but of ignorance. In the past, whether it was Christianity, Buddhism, or Confucianism, they all assumed that everything important in the world was already contained within scriptures like the Bible, Buddhist sutras, or Confucian classics. If an issue wasn't addressed in these texts, it wasn't important. For example, if shipbuilding wasn't in the scriptures, it was deemed unimportant or deceitful. However, modern science, in contrast, first admits its ignorance about important matters and encourages clash and confrontation of ideas. Secondly, it focuses on observation and mathematics. This is a significant difference between modern science and past knowledge systems. Harari gives the example of a religion called Manichaeism. It claimed that the world was a battle between good and evil, where evil created matter and good created spirit. This religion could explain everything, like if a computer broke, it was due to evil, and fixing it with the help of a good programmer was a victory of good over evil. But did it explain how to fix the computer? Not at all. So, while it could explain everything, it lacked meaning. Modern science centers around observation, which essentially is verification. If you claim a computer broke due to evil, can you verify it? No, you'd fall into circular reasoning. However, if I say the computer broke because the motherboard burnt out and replacing it would fix it, that's verifiable knowledge. Thirdly, it applies existing theories to gain new abilities. This is easily understandable. Ancient societies' innovations were mostly random. It was during the labor process that occasionally a craftsman discovered an improvement that increased efficiency. Then, it was recorded as an orally transmitted piece of knowledge. But modern science can derive laws from existing theories, guiding us toward innovation rather than relying on the whims of craftsmen. However, the scientific revolution also brought about new ways of imagination. The belief that science and technology can continually progress, enabling human society to advance, has become a cornerstone of how society functions. However, Harari points out that the scientific revolution, like all revolutions in history, is a product of humanity's continuous leaps of imagination and brings enormous material benefits. But this leap might not necessarily be a good thing for individual humans. Firstly, European countries, using technological advantages, rapidly expanded and brought profound disasters to the world. Conservatively estimated, during the 20 or so years from 1885 to 1908, around 6 million people died in Congo under colonial rule. Secondly, rapid technological development led to a significant increase in global wealth disparity, making it increasingly challenging for less developed countries to catch up. According to estimates, laborers in Africa and Indonesia today earn less food than they did 500 years ago. Therefore, global economic growth might be a vast trap, actually leading more people into hunger and deprivation. Understanding this might clarify the theme of the book, Sapiens. It surveys world history from the perspective of a species and outlines the essence of human progress. In essence, we are a species living simultaneously in imagination and reality, achieving great feats but also subjecting most of our individuals to more wretched conditions. From oppressed farmers under religious and royal authorities in ancient times to laborers exploited by capitalism and consumerism today, it remains the same. Each revolution and celebration has not fundamentally altered this pattern but pushed its benefits and drawbacks to more extreme levels. Harari concludes that every revolution and leap forward conceals enormous suffering for individual humans, and this time is no exception. He doesn't draw this conclusion to provoke alarm or garner attention. His aim is to foresee the future for all humanity. Why? Because today's technological progress has reached a point where humans could surpass the biological boundary, using technology to transform themselves and complete the next step in evolution. From the traditional perspective, this might not seem bad. However, understanding Sapiens would reveal deeper crises and transformations behind this development. Harari's viewpoint is that each time a minority in humanity uses technology to transform their bodies and minds, becoming immortal or having memories like a computer, it will widen inequality from social classes to interspecies. At that point, the suffering of the majority might surpass the suffering during previous historical revolutionary periods. As the conclusion of Sapiens suggests, the only thing we can do now is influence the direction. If we could soon alter our desires, perhaps the real question isn't about what we want to become but what we truly wish for ourselves. If this question is still casually dismissed, it might genuinely mean it hasn't been truly pondered. That concludes the content of this audio. Congratulations, you've finished listening to another book. Thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with friends around you. Let's combine wisdom and practice to achieve our financial goals and create a better future. Thank you, goodbye.